People hiss it in the halls, in the city streets when I pass. They look at me like I carry some plague. She forces a bitter laugh. Or maybe they just see a threat. A human with the alpha's heart. He exhales. She feels the warmth of his hand hovering near her shoulder, but he doesn't quite make contact, as if he's afraid she'll recoil. We can squash the rumors, he says. Or try. But the council is fixated on them. They want me to revoke the bond, claim a worthy mate. His jaw tightens around that word, like it's a blade twisting in his mouth. Which, of course, means Celine. Aria finally turns, meeting the shadow in his gaze. And you? What do you want? It's a question that tears at him. She sees 1,000 conflicting emotions flicker across his face in an instant, the wolf's feral possessiveness, the alpha's duty to his pack, the man's guilt that he can't shield her from all this. At last, he breathes out a single word, you. Her heart constricts so fiercely she almost can't breathe. For a moment, the storm quiets in her mind. Then she nods, letting the tension drain from her spine. Then we fight them, she says, voice trembling but determined. If Celine wants to discredit me, if she wants war, let her come. Kieran's gaze searches her face, something close to pride mingled with fear. Aria, he murmurs, I never wanted you to be in this crossfire. She lifts her chin. Too late, Alpha. He's silent at that. Then, with a low growl of resignation, he steps closer, letting his fingertips skim her rain-damp hair. She leans into that tentative contact, craving it more than she'd ever admit. The bond hums between them, crackling with the tension of a storm that's only begun to break. Down below, the onlookers fade as the hour grows later, but the stench of suspicion lingers. She pulls away, hugging herself. Tell me about the next council meeting. They want you to renounce me, right? Are they planning some formal hearing? He nods grimly. Celine demanded a special session in 2 days. She's using your so-called traitor's blood as her primary angle. The elders might force me to break the bond if they buy into her forgery. I have to present evidence that you're no threat to the clans. A low chime interrupts him. The doorbell. Kieran's head jerks toward the hallway. Aria's pulse quickens. They exchange a look that says it all, trouble. No one visits at this hour for anything good. She follows him inside, through corridors that still smell faintly of sandalwood and old leather, right to the grand foyer. Standing at the threshold, clad in a sleek black coat, is Maya, the wedding planner turned reluctant ally, half-sister to Kieran. Her eyes dart between them, tension painted on her face. Thank the moon, Maya whispers. I got wind of something. Celine's enforcers are moving tonight. They're circling the estate, looking for vulnerabilities. Word is they plan to plant fabricated evidence about Aria's father, documents claiming he orchestrated hunts against werewolf pups. A monstrous smear, but the council would eat it up if they found the proof here. Aria's mouth goes dry. If that rumor takes root, she'd be irredeemable in the eyes of the clans. Kieran stares at Maya, fury flashing in his eyes. They dare come to my home? On my territory? Maya nods grimly. They're preparing for a political takedown. If they can't make you break the bond willingly, they'll ensure the council revokes your alpha title unless you comply. Aria clenches her fists. Every time she thinks it can't get worse, Celine finds a new dagger to shove between their ribs. She glances at Kieran, sees the alpha rage simmering in his stance. So we show them, she says, trying to keep her voice steady. We catch them in the act. Kieran exhales, glancing at Maya. Will you help us? Maya's lips press into a thin line. You know I'm not on the council's side. It's you I worry about, Kieran. And Aria. Celine is relentless. She's even forging ties with the rival packs across the border. They're the ones who took shots at you that night in the forest, remember? Aria's gaze drops, recalling how Kieran nearly bled out in her arms after that ambush. She still sees the dark stain of his blood on her palms if she closes her eyes. He places a hand on her shoulder, as though reading her thoughts. We'll end this, he mutters. No more waiting for them to come at us. He turns to Maya. Gather whatever loyal pack members we have left. Set up a perimeter. If Celine's enforcers step on my land, we catch them red-handed. We'll force the council to see this for what it is, a baseless smear campaign. Maya hesitates, then nods. Consider it done. Before she leaves, Aria tentatively touches her elbow. Thank you, she says quietly. For risking this. I know it could cost you everything. Maya offers a wry smile. I'm not the only one risking everything. Her gaze flicks to Kieran. Take care of each other. The rest of the city may think this bond is a joke, but I can see it's real, and that it's strong enough to tear the council apart if they don't tread carefully. Aria swallows, the swirling tension in her gut intensifying. She can't deny the precarious thrill that a war is coming, and she and Kieran are at the center of it. As Maya slips out, Aria glances at Kieran. He watches her, expression shuttered yet protective, and she can't shake the feeling that something in her is changing too. Visions, nightmares, she's been having them more frequently. Strange scenes she can't decipher, hints of a power she doesn't understand. Is it triggered by fear? Or by the bond? She's not sure yet, only that it lurks in her subconscious like a coiled serpent. He leads her back upstairs, to the small study he's turned into a war room. Maps pinned to the walls, documents strewn across a heavy wooden desk, the faint glow of a lamp revealing details of packed territories, alliances, everything. She hates this room, it smells of old leather and battle plans that never see a peaceful ending. But if this is how they survive, so be it. Hours slip by in a flurry of strategy. She perches on the edge of a velvet armchair while Kieran paces, phone in hand, issuing commands to loyal wolves around the city. He's in alpha mode, ruthless, concise, every word a spear. She tries not to let it intimidate her, but there's a raw magnetism in his authority that makes her pulse flutter. Finally, near dawn, the calls end. He slumps in the chair across from hers, running a hand over his face. Exhaustion seeps into his features. Aria quietly crosses the room, kneels at his side. She's never been good at comforting gestures, her life taught her to keep distance, but she can't deny the pull now. She places a tentative hand on his shoulder. He meets her gaze, the swirl of gratitude and longing making her chest ache. She opens her mouth to speak, to assure him, but the words catch. Instead, she leans in and presses her forehead against his, inhaling the faint sandalwood scent that clings to him. He exhales softly, lips grazing her cheek. Sometimes, he murmurs, voice raw, I think about what might have been if I'd never walked into that cafe. You'd still be living a normal life, free from this madness. Aria closes her eyes, remembering that storm-lashed night when he first appeared. And you'd still be alone, she says. Don't pretend you regret it. His hand shifts to cradle her jaw. I don't. They sit like that, breath mingling, hearts pounding in the quiet hush before dawn. Then, with a quiet sigh, Aria draws back. Come, she whispers. Let's get some rest before the next storm hits. He nods. They head to his suite. He insisted she share it now, both for safety and because the bond thrums painfully if they stay too far apart for too long. She resented that at first, but nights spent in his arms have become her only sense of calm amid the swirling chaos. Sleep claims them both quickly, though Aria's dreams are anything but peaceful. She sees flickers of light dancing at the edge of a dark forest, hears voices chanting words she doesn't understand. A symbol burns itself behind her eyelids, something reminiscent of a crescent moon with jagged lines. And somewhere, far away, a voice calls her name, but it's not Kieran's. It's older, deeper, steeped in longing. She wakes with a start, heart hammering. The morning light filters through the drapes. She's alone. Kieran must have risen already. A sense of unease coils in her belly. She tries to remember the details of the dream, but they slip from her mind, leaving only a faint dread. Shaking off the feeling, she dresses quickly and heads downstairs. She finds Kieran in the foyer, fists clenched, face thunderous. Maya stands across from him, a letter in hand. The tension in the air crackles like static. Aria joins them, anxiety buzzing in her veins. Another ultimatum from the council, Maya says, voice clipped. They're summoning you and Aria to a formal hearing tomorrow night. They claim to have new evidence about Aria's father's supposed crimes. Kieran snatches the letter, scanning it. His lip curls, revealing the faintest flash of fong. They say if I don't appear, if I don't renounce the bond or surrender her to them, they'll revoke my alpha status. Aria's stomach twists. So soon. She expected this, but not the cold shock of hearing it aloud. She forces her voice to remain steady. We won't bow to them. Kieran's gaze flicks to her. No. We won't. But the moment is cut short by a sudden commotion at the main gate. Shouts echo outside. The three of them hurry to the front door. Through the tall windows, Aria sees a swirl of black vehicles and armed wolves wearing the crest of Celine's clan. She spots the flicker of a camera lens, the flash of a telephoto lens capturing images of the confrontation. It's a media circus, orchestrated to humiliate them. Her breath catches. Kieran growls low, stepping outside, Aria and Maya trailing behind. Instantly, the intruders freeze, half lifting their weapons in a show of intimidation. One of them steps forward, an older wolf with iron-gray hair. He lifts a folder of papers and brandishes them in Kieran's face. These documents say your precious mate's father murdered half a den of pups during the late war, the older wolf declares, voice echoing through the courtyard. We're here to ensure the council knows the truth, that her bloodline is cursed. And we have orders to confiscate any incriminating evidence on your property. Aria's fingers curl into fists at the blatant lie. She can see the grin tugging at the corners of the wolf's mouth, a cruelty that mirrors Celine's cunning. This is the big show, discredit Aria publicly, corner Kieran into submission. Kieran's eyes burn with alpha fury. You have no authority here, he snarls, stepping closer until he's a breath away from the old wolf's face. Get off my land, or I'll tear those forgeries to shreds. The older wolf's smirk widens, but but fear flickers in his gaze. He knows Kieran's not bluffing. Still, the cameras are rolling, capturing every second. He draws himself up. The council's authority is absolute, Blackthorn. Step aside. Before Kieran can respond, Maya slips forward, producing her phone. I have you on video trespassing, she says calmly. And forging false claims. I can send this to every neutral pack in the region, show them how Celine's enforcers break the old laws. Is that what you want? The older wolf's bravado falters. For a tense moment, neither side yields. Then he spits on the ground, motions for his men to withdraw. This isn't over, he growls. We'll see you at the hearing tomorrow. And the council will have its say. They pile back into their vehicles, the cameras still snapping images, but the fear of being exposed is enough to make them leave, for now. Kieran stands there, shoulders rigid, fists trembling. Aria breathes out a silent prayer of relief, though her heart still pounds. He glances at her, eyes wild with protective anger. They're moving faster than I anticipated, he mutters. Celine wants a crisis. She wants me cornered, forced to submit to her demands. Aria's voice shakes with quiet resolve. Then we let them corner us, and we show them how a cornered wolf fights. Maya huffs a faint laugh. Careful, Aria, that's the alpha's territory you're stepping on. Aria meets Kieran's gaze with a grim smile. He can share, she says softly. He tucks a strand of her hair behind her ear, tension rolling off him in waves. We'll need a plan for tomorrow. If they present that false evidence, we need to discredit it. And if that fails, we might need to fight our way out. Aria nods. The thought of open conflict with the entire Silverfang Council is terrifying, but at least they won't be caught off guard. For the rest of the day, they gather what documentation they can on her actual family lineage. It's meager, she knows so little about her origins. But Kieran's archivists and pack historians help cross-reference old records, searching for any trace of wrongdoing that might confirm or deny the rumors. The hours pass in a blur, the weight of impending confrontation pressing on them all. As dusk drapes the sky in indigo, Aria retreats to the library alone, sifting through musty tomes and journals. She finds mention of a family name that vaguely rings a bell, Vexley, rumored to have ties to mystic arts centuries ago. She wonders if it's connected to the strange dreams she's been having. The images swirl in her head, glowing symbols, voices calling from the dark. She shivers, running her fingertips over the fragile pages. Footsteps whisper behind her. She looks up to see Kieran entering, expression worried. He eyes the scattered books. Find anything? Not sure. She sighs, pulling the volume onto her lap. There's a passage about a rumored bloodline that could harness lunar magic, once upon a time. But it's half myth, half nonsense. He crouches beside her, placing a gentle hand over hers. Myth and nonsense are powerful in this world, you know. Weren't we a myth to you once? She huffs a quiet laugh. I guess so. Her gaze drifts to the book again, and a line jumps out at her. He who mates with the child of the crescent blood shall awaken powers long forgotten. She reads it silently, a chill ghosting across her skin. Could that be referring to her? She dismisses the thought with a shake of her head, not wanting to stoke false hope. Aria, Kieran says softly. It's late. Rest with me? Her heart warms at his concern. She sets the book aside and rises, letting him guide her out. They retire to his suite once more, curling into bed together. The tension doesn't vanish, it clings to them, a silent reminder that tomorrow might tear them apart. But for now, she's safe in his arms, lulled by the steady rhythm of his breath. When morning arrives, the entire estate buzzes with preparation. Loyal pack members armed to the teeth, cars lined up in the courtyard, the sense of stepping onto a battlefield. Aria and Kieran dress in dark, formal attire, a united front of midnight blues and blacks. She can't help noticing how drawn his face looks, how the lines of worry bracket his eyes. He glances at her as they step out. "Stay close," he murmurs. "Whatever happens." She nods, heart racing. Outside, the sky is steel gray, the wind biting. Perfect weather for a war. They drive to the council's hall in silence. The building looms ahead, its pillars and arched windows reminiscent of an ancient cathedral. The courtyard is packed with onlookers, werewolves from various clans, all awaiting the spectacle. Gossiping. Sneering at her. A hush falls as Kieran's motorcade pulls up. She steps out, her pulse roaring. She refuses to avert her gaze or bow her head. Kieran offers his arm, and she takes it, every nerve braced for battle. They ascend the marble steps, passing a row of council enforcers who watch them with thinly veiled hostility. Inside, the chamber is just as imposing, massive columns, golden sconces flickering with torchlight, a dais at the far end where the elders preside. Celine stands nearby, draped in a flowing white gown, exuding an air of regal innocence. But Aria sees the predatory gleam in her eyes, the small tilt of her lips that spells triumph. So this is her grand stage. The lead elder, a tall man with a braided beard, bangs a staff on the floor to command silence. The murmurs die. Kieran Blackthorn, he intones, voice echoing. You stand before us to address allegations concerning your mate's lineage and the threat it poses. Present your defense. Kieran steps forward, jaw set. This so-called evidence, he says, gesturing to a stack of parchment on a nearby table, is forged. My archivists have cross-checked these documents. Dates don't match. Signatures are fraudulent. And the claims about Aria's father leading hunts on werewolf pups? Fabricated. His voice vibrates with anger, each word clipped. Celine glides closer, her expression a picture of wounded innocence. And your proof of forgery, dear Kieran? She purrs. Besides the word of your staff, of course. He bristles. Aria senses his wolf clawing at the surface, hungry to tear Celine's smug mask away. But losing control now would be disastrous. Kieran lifts a leather-bound folder. We have official records from neutral packs that show no such incident took place. We also have evidence that the signatures used here are copied from older, irrelevant documents. This entire packet is a sham to discredit Aria. Celine arches a brow. Or your neutral packs are simply in your pocket. The council has reason to suspect your finances spread wide, Kieran. Bribery can buy many things, perhaps even false alibis. The chamber buzzes with muttering. Aria's stomach lurches at the open hostility. She forces herself to step forward, standing tall beside Kieran. My father was never involved in the old wars, she says, voice trembling but audible. He died when I was young. These accusations are nothing but rumors to drive me away. An elder narrows her eyes. Do you claim ignorance of your father's actions, or do you deny them entirely? Aria swallows. I don't remember him well. But I do know he wasn't a monster. He raised me alone, for as long as he could. There was never any mention of werewolves or hunts. A scoff from somewhere behind. Celine flicks her hair over one shoulder. That's convenient, isn't it? You were orphaned, left with no record of your past, no way to prove or disprove the rumors. How terribly tragic. Aria's anger flares. Tragic that you'd stoop to lying about the dead just to sabotage me. Celine's eyes flash. And tragic that Kieran, an alpha with centuries of heritage, would risk everything for a human with no name, no standing, no. That's enough, Kieran snarls, voice booming through the hall. You speak of standing, but what is your moral standing when you stoop to forging documents? How many times have you broken the old laws to suit your ambition, Celine? Celine's face darkens, but before she can retort, the elder with the braided beard slams his staff again. We will review the evidence, he declares. Until then, we have a duty to protect our society from unrest. Alpha Blackthorn, we strongly advise you to reconsider your bond. The council must place the well-being of all clans above any personal attachments. Kieran clenches his jaw. And if I refuse? The elder meets his stare with cool neutrality. Then your alpha title may be revoked. For now, we recess to deliberate. A wave of murmuring sweeps the chamber. Kieran and Aria exchange glances, hearts pounding. The elders rise, moving behind a heavy curtain, presumably to bicker over details. The audience remains in a tense hush. Celine lingers near the dais, speaking in hushed tones to other council members. Aria can feel eyes on her, the pressure almost unbearable. Without warning, the doors slam open. A guard stumbles in, bleeding from a gash across his arm. Intruders, he gasps, voice trembling. A rival pack, Nightblade, has launched an attack on the courtyard. They've disabled the perimeter guards. They're coming inside. Chaos erupts. Wolves shift, tearing off suits or dresses, snarling and baring fangs. Some remain in human form, brandishing weapons. Kieran curses under his breath. Nightblade. That's the pack rumored to be allied with Celine. This is coordinated, he growls. They want a bloodbath, right in the council hall. Aria's heart stutters. Another wave of unnatural adrenaline surges in her veins, the same thing she felt the night Kieran was ambushed. She doesn't question it. She can't. They have no time. The chamber dissolves into a frenzy as enemy wolves storm in, eyes glowing with vicious intent. There are howls, shrieks, the clash of claws on marble. Aria feels a cold shock of fear, but her mind sharpens. She won't be useless. She can fight. Kieran leaps into the fray with a snarl, shifting midair in a blur of muscle and fur. She's seen him shift before, but never so abruptly, never so consumed by fury. His wolf is massive, dark-furred, eyes alight with a savage glow. He tears into the intruders, jaws snapping, claws ripping at flanks. The council members scramble, some in terror, some snapping orders. Celine, however, stands calmly at the edge, a faint smile curling her lips. She's orchestrating this chaos. Aria dodges a savage wolf lunging at her. Her heart pounds. Instinct flares, and she snatches up a silver-tipped staff from a fallen guard. She smacks the attacker across the muzzle, sending it sprawling, stunned. Another leaps for her, but a blur of black fur intercepts it, Kieran, shielding her with his body. Blood spatters the white marble, turning it slick and treacherous. A chilling voice rings out, "Aria, come here, traitor's daughter." She whips around, spotting a tall wolf in partial shift, half human, half beast. He stares at her with unnerving familiarity. "Your father called you something else," he hisses, lips curling in a grin. "He called you Asherah." Her blood runs cold. Asherah? The name stirs a memory. She's heard it in her dreams, whispered by unknown voices. She staggers, mind reeling. "Who are you?" she gasps, brandishing the staff to keep him at bay. He lunges, claws scraping across the marble. "A friend of your father's, or so he was, before your father betrayed us both. I know the blood you carry. I know what darkness sleeps inside it." Fear and confusion swirl, but she won't let him break her. She thrusts the staff, catching him in the ribs. He snarls, batting it aside. Then a monstrous shape barrels into him, Kieran, jaws snapping at the intruder's throat. They clash, rolling across the floor in a tangle of fur and claws. Kieran manages to pin him, but not before the wolf sinks fangs into his shoulder. "Kieran!" Aria screams, seeing the burst of blood. The intruder wrenches free, leaps aside, and the savage fighting continues all around. Panic swamps her. Kieran tries to stand, but blood pours from a ragged wound near his throat, too close to vital arteries. He staggers, toppling over. A cry rips from Aria's lips, and she rushes to his side, dropping to her knees on the blood-slick floor. His wolf form flickers, half shifting back to human in the throes of agony. He's choking on his own breath, eyes wide with pain. "Aria, run," he rasps, spitting blood. "They'll kill you next." She shakes her head, tears blurring her vision. "Never," she whispers, pressing shaky hands to his wound. Blood coats her fingers, hot and thick. The fighting still rages, but to her, everything dims, the roar fading to a distant thunder. She sees only Kieran dying in her arms. A savage cry escapes her throat. The bond pulses, a scorching heat that blinds her. She can't lose him. She can't. Something cracks inside her, some barrier she didn't know existed. It unleashes a surge of raw power that explodes from her chest like a tidal wave. The entire chamber gasps, wolves reeling backward as a violet glow ignites around her. Her eyes burn with it. She screams, and the power arcs out, slamming into enemies like an invisible storm. They're hurled across the chamber, some smashing into pillars, others crashing through windows. Shouts rise in shock. Even Celine staggers, eyes widening. The swirl of energy whips Aria's hair, crackles across the floor, until the fighting stops altogether. Everyone stares at her in utter horror and awe. She trembles, tears burning hot. Kieran clings to life, his blood staining her clothes. She doesn't understand how she did that. She only knows she'd do anything, to save him. She presses her hands against his wound, feeling the power still thrumming in her veins. But she doesn't know how to focus it, how to heal him with this strange magic. Helplessness threatens to break her. Celine's voice cuts the silence like a knife. "You see," she shrills, pointing at Aria. "She's dangerous. This is the darkness in her blood. She'll destroy us all if she remains unbound." Aria barely hears her. She's focused on Kieran's shallow breaths, on the rasp in his throat. The rival pack wolves scramble away, fear in their eyes. Council members stare, uncertain how to react to a power they've never seen. The tall wolf who called her Asherah is gone, vanished into the chaos. Aria glances up, tears streaking her cheeks, meeting Celine's gaze across the debris-strewn hall. "Stay away from me," she snarls, voice hoarse. Celine's expression flickers with terror and anger. "Seize her," she screeches to the few guards left. "Seize them both. This is council business now." Too many. They converge from all sides. Aria can't unleash that same power again, her strength flickers, draining fast. She can barely remain upright, clutching Kieran to her. She tries to scream at them to back off, but they rip him from her arms, ignoring her cry of protest. She's shoved down, arms pinned. Kieran's head lolls, eyes fluttering. "Aria," he croaks, then slips into unconsciousness as a group of wolves drag him away. She tries to fight, but rough hands clamp around her wrists and ankles. The world blurs behind tears and the metallic smell of blood. "Don't struggle," a cold voice says as they wrestle her to her feet, binding her arms behind her. "It'll only make it worse." She can't breathe. They're taking Kieran away. She sees him carried through a side door, his limp body leaving a smear of blood on the floor. She lurches, tries to call out, but someone clamps a clawed hand over her mouth. Darkness edges her vision. The last thing she sees is Celine's face, twisted in a grim smile of triumph. And then everything goes black. She wakes in a stark white room, all stone walls and glaring lights. Her wrists burn from the silver-infused shackles locking her to a heavy chair. She's exhausted, every muscle screaming. Her mind is hazy, as though something dampens her thoughts. There's a faint pulse of the bond with Kieran, but it's weak, almost non-existent. A wave of nausea hits her at the realization that she can barely feel him. Is he alive? Her voice is a cracked whisper. "Kieran?" She tries to stand, but the chains yank her back. She's powerless. She fights the urge to panic. A door slides open. Celine steps in, flanked by 2 council guards. She's changed into a pristine gown, no sign of the battle that just took place. She regards Aria with a cool, almost pitying expression. "You put on quite a show," she says softly, circling the chair. "You would have killed us all with that little stunt, had your strength not failed you." Aria forces words out, her throat raw. "Where's Kieran?" Celine shrugs delicately. "Alive, for now. In critical condition, thanks to that savage wolf from Nightblade. Our healers are tending him." Her gaze sharpens. "Though I can't imagine why he should be saved when he's forfeited everything for a traitor's bloodline." Aria's heart lurches with relief and fear. Kieran is alive, but how badly wounded? And these are her captors, what do they really plan to do with him? She grits her teeth, eyes blazing. "What do you want from me?" Celine sighs, feigning disappointment. "I want many things, Aria. But right now, the council wants to contain whatever magic you unleashed. They fear you might be some living weapon if left unchecked." She steps closer, leaning down until Aria can smell her perfume. "But I've convinced them that, with the right persuasion, you might be subdued." Aria wants to spit in her face, but she can hardly summon the energy. The memory of that power thrumming through her is distant, like a dream she can't fully recall. You can't do this, she croaks. Kieran won't let you. Celine laughs, a musical, chilling sound. He's in no position to stop me. Unless you can perform a miracle and heal him. But then, if you had that power, you would have done it already, She clucks her tongue. No, dear. I have the upper hand. And I'm prepared to offer you a choice. The guards shift, exchanging uncertain glances. Celine waves them off, as if this moment is intimate, private. She kneels, eye to eye with Aria. Surrender the mate bond. Break it. Publicly, irrevocably. Renounce Kieran and declare that you manipulated him. The council might spare you, even return you to the human world. Let you live out your days quietly, away from all this. Aria's stomach twists. You'd kill him anyway, she whispers, tears burning. Don't pretend you'd let him live if I leave. Celine's smile is soft, almost pitying. I won't lie to you. His position is fragile. But severing the bond is the first step to saving him. Let him go, Aria. Then the council can rehabilitate him, realign him with our laws, maybe even restore his alpha title under better guidance. Namely me. Her eyes gleam. Otherwise, the council sees you both as a threat. And threats are eliminated. The word eliminated hangs in the air. Aria clenches her fists, trembling. She thinks of Kieran's fierce protectiveness, of how he nearly died for her, how he might still be dying. Despair stabs her. I won't betray him, she forces out. Not for you, not for the council. Celine's jaw tightens. For a moment, Aria sees the cold fury simmering beneath her polished exterior. Then Celine stands, composing herself. Have it your way, she says curtly. We'll begin your containment soon. A series of tests, perhaps. Extract your power. Whatever it takes to ensure you can't destroy us again. But do think about my offer, dear. There may come a time when your desperation to save him outweighs your loyalty. She spins on her heel and leaves, guards trailing behind. The door slams, plunging Aria back into silence. Pain throbs in her wrists, in her heart. How can she help Kieran if she's locked up, if she can't even summon that strange power on command? Time blurs after that. She's not sure how many hours pass in the windowless room. Once, guards come in to force water down her throat. Another time, they drag her to a sterile chamber with flickering lights, where hooded figures try to measure her energy signature, hooking her up to archaic instruments that beep and whir. She's too weak to resist, but whatever they're searching for, they don't seem to find. They grow frustrated, muttering about how the power must be triggered by emotion or threat. She stares at them in defiant silence. She dozes on the cold stone floor, drifting in and out of a delirious half-sleep. In her dreams, she sees that symbol again, the crescent with jagged lines, and hears voices calling her Asherah. They speak of a curse, of bloodlines hunted through centuries. She sees glimpses of her father's face, though it's blurred and indistinct. He reaches for her, voice echoing, "You must awaken, or you will die." She jerks awake, gasping. The realization that it was only a dream makes her want to scream. Another day? Another hour? She can't tell. The door opens again, this time revealing an unlikely savior, Maya, wearing the uniform of a council guard, complete with hood and mask. She quickly unlocks Aria's shackles, placing a finger to her lips in warning. Aria nearly collapses into her arms. "Maya," she rasps, tears stinging her eyes. Maya hushes her, helping her stand. "I bribed one of the guards. We don't have much time. Kieran's alive, but they're restricting his medical care. If we don't get him out soon, he'll die from that wound. Let's go." Aria's heart leaps with desperate hope. She forces her trembling legs to move. They slip out into a stark hallway, sidestepping patrolling guards who have no idea their shifts are about to unravel. Every step is agony for Aria, each breath a struggle, but the thought of reaching Kieran drives her. They duck into a side chamber. Maya carefully opens a door to reveal a small infirmary. Aria's breath catches. She sees Kieran lying on a cot, pale as death, covered in bandages. His eyes are closed, chest barely moving. She rushes to his side, pressing shaking fingers to his wrist. A weak pulse flutters. "Kieran," she whispers, voice cracking. "Don't you dare leave me now." No response, but at least he's still alive. Maya checks the corridor, nods briskly. "We can't carry him out in wolf form, he's too weak to shift. We'll have to move him as he is. I'll distract the guards in the next hall. You slip out the rear exit, where I left a car running." Aria nods, tears slipping down her cheeks. She brushes a trembling kiss over Kieran's forehead, then uses all her strength to maneuver him off the cot, his arms slung over her shoulders. He's heavy, but she won't falter. She just can't. Maya pats her back once, then darts away. Heart pounding, Aria half drags, half carries Kieran to the door. His lashes flutter, a faint groan escaping him, but he's too weak to speak. She murmurs encouragement, each step sending pain lancing through her battered body. The corridor is empty for now. She turns a corner, sees a cracked doorway with a sliver of daylight beyond. That must be the exit. She almost makes it without incident. But a figure steps from the shadows, Celine, her face twisted with shock and fury. "You," she snarls. "I should have known you'd try to run." Aria's heart slams against her ribs. She clutches Kieran tighter, staggering back a step. Celine blocks the path, eyes flashing with lethal intent. "That's enough," Celine hisses. "Put him down. You'll only kill him faster dragging him like that." Aria's voice trembles with desperation. "If he stays, he dies anyway. Get out of my way." Celine's lip curls. So resolute. Brave, even. But foolish. She moves in a predatory circle, cornering Aria against the wall. Kieran's weight threatens to pull them both to the floor. "Think of the bigger picture," Celine continues, tone almost coaxing. "If you care for him, surrender. Give up the bond and let the council treat him. They can still save him, if you're not in the way." Aria's tears blur her vision. She wants to scream that Celine is lying, that this is all part of the plan to break Kieran's spirit. She steels herself. "Never," she whispers. Celine's eyes darken. She lunges, clawed fingers slashing at Aria. Instinct flares. Aria feels a faint echo of that power stirring, but it's so weak. She barely manages to dodge, half falling as she tries to shield Kieran. A cornered rage floods her limbs, and she slams her elbow into Celine's ribs. Celine gasps, momentarily winded. That's enough time. Aria pushes forward, ignoring the white-hot pain in her muscles, hauling Kieran past Celine. She sees a fleeting look of shock on Celine's face, then the adrenaline surges again, propelling her through the exit door. The bright afternoon sun stings her eyes, but she doesn't slow. A car waits at the edge of a narrow lane, engine running. Maya is inside, waving frantically. Aria lurches across the pavement, practically collapsing with Kieran in her arms. Maya leaps out, helps hoist him into the back seat. Aria scrambles in beside him, cradling his head on her lap. Maya slams the door, floors the gas. The car peels away from the council compound, tires squealing. Aria's entire body shakes, tears streaming down her face. She presses a palm to Kieran's cheek. "Stay with me," she begs in a ragged whisper. "Don't you dare slip away now." He stirs, lips parting. His voice is barely a breath. "Aria, the bond, it's fading, why does it hurt so much?" She chokes on a sob, brushing his hair back. She's felt it too, something is poisoning the bond, strangling the life out of them both. Every moment he grows weaker, and with him, her own strength dims. She glances at Maya in the rearview mirror. "We need a healer, someone not tied to the council. Somewhere safe." Maya's knuckles whiten on the wheel. "I know a place. But it'll mean crossing clan borders. Once we do, Kieran loses claim to his territory. He's effectively exiled." Her gaze flicks to Aria. "Are you sure?" Aria bends over Kieran, heart shredding. She recalls the dreamlike whisper of Asherah, the nightmares, the unstoppable surge of power that might be locked in her blood. She doesn't care about the consequences anymore. She only cares about saving him. "Do it," she breathes. "We'll figure out the rest later." Maya nods, jaw set. The car speeds on, weaving through remote roads. Aria prays they're not being followed. She keeps pressure on Kieran's wound, though it's soaked through the bandages. His breathing grows faint. She leans down to whisper in his ear, voice trembling. "Kieran, hold on. Just hold on. I need you." A faint, pained smile ghosts his lips, then he lapses into unconsciousness again. Desperation tears at Aria's insides. She closes her eyes, wrestling with a swirl of fear and grief. The bond flickers inside her, so fragile she's terrified it'll snap. She knows she has to do something. Something drastic. She pictures that wild surge of power that threw wolves across a hall, tries to summon even a spark of it to help him. But all that comes is a dizzying wave of exhaustion. Maya's voice snaps her out of it. "We're crossing the border into Redwood territory. Once we do, there's no going back." Aria looks down at Kieran, pale and unmoving. She steels herself. "We never had the option of going back. Not after everything they did." The car bumps over a rough dirt road. Maya curses softly, glancing in the rearview. "We've got 2 black SUVs trailing us. Might be council enforcers." Aria's heart clenches. "Then drive faster." Dust churns under the tires as the chase barrels onward. The SUVs close the gap, headlights flashing. Maya swerves around a bend, tires squealing. A bullet cracks the rear windshield, spiderwebbing the glass. Aria ducks over Kieran's body, shielding him with her own. Fear pulses, but she clamps her lips tight, refusing to let it break her. Maya floors the accelerator. The car lurches, pulling ahead. Another turn, and the redwood border lies just ahead, a wooden sign half-rotted with age. Maya guns the engine. Shots ring out again, but they miss. And then they cross an old iron bridge spanning a ravine, leaving the council's domain behind. The SUVs skid to a halt on the far side, unwilling or unable to pursue into redwood territory. Aria exhales a sob of relief and heartbreak. They've done it. They've severed Kieran's claim to his pack, his territory, everything he built. All for her. For them. And he's still bleeding out in her lap. Maya navigates a winding forest road, eventually pulling up to a secluded cabin. Smoke curls from a stone chimney. A tall figure waits outside, an older woman with kind eyes and silver hair braided over one shoulder. Maya jumps out, beckoning her. This is Laurel, a rogue healer with redwood ties. She'll help. Aria and Maya haul Kieran from the car. Laurel hustles them inside, directing them to a simple wooden bed. Aria hovers, tears streaming, as Laurel examines the wound. Her expression is grim. He's lost too much blood. The infection is setting in fast. She glances at Aria. He's alpha, isn't he? Why isn't the wolf healing him? Maya and Aria exchange haunted looks. Something's poisoning the bond, Aria whispers. We think it's also weakening his wolf's regeneration. Laurel presses her lips together, rummaging through jars of herbs, extracting a faintly glowing powder. She begins to treat the wound, chanting softly. Aria kneels at the bedside, clutching Kieran's hand. Every second feels like an eternity. Hours pass. Maya paces near the window, keeping watch in case the council tries a cross-border operation. Laurel works tirelessly, her face creased with concentration. Finally, near midnight, she leans back, exhaustion etched in every line of her posture. He's stable for now, Laurel says quietly. But his wolf is dormant, locked behind some barrier. It's like the bond that gives him life is strangled by an outside force. Without it, his body can't heal properly. Aria's throat tightens. She brushes trembling fingers through Kieran's hair, tears drenching her cheeks. How do we fix it? She whispers. Laurel shakes her head. He needs the bond fully intact. Your bond. Only then can his wolf break free of this poison. Her kind eyes flick to Aria. Do you sense it too? That your connection is severed? Aria nods, despair crushing her chest. I feel him, but it's faint. Like we're drifting apart. I don't know how to fix that. Laurel exhales softly, rising to her feet. We have old texts here in Redwood territory. Something might help. But it won't be easy. You'd have to reclaim the bond, restore it with your own power. Aria thinks of that name, Asherah, and the swirling dream imagery. She's terrified of what might lurk in her blood. But if it's the only way, she draws a shaky breath. I'll do whatever it takes, she says, voice trembling with determination. I won't lose him. She glances down at Kieran, his face pale, skin clammy. The bond flickers like a candle guttering in the wind. She swallows hard, the finality of her choice scorching her soul. She knows she's crossing a line, leaving behind everything she once knew, sacrificing normalcy forever. But if it means saving him? There's no question. She gently presses a kiss to his forehead, blinking back tears. "Hold on, Kieran," she whispers. "Just a little longer." Behind her, Maya meets her gaze, sorrow and hope mingling. "We'll find a way," she murmurs. "Even if it means going to the ends of the earth." "I won't let Celine get the last word." Aria nods, heart pounding. The memory of Celine's triumphant sneer burns in her mind. She pictures the council hall, the blood, the way her own power lashed out. And she thinks of the darkness stirring in her dreams, of an ancient lineage that might tear the entire werewolf world apart. She closes her eyes, cradling Kieran's limp hand in hers, letting a single tear fall onto his cheek. The final shred of the bond throbs, then flickers, leaving behind a hollow ache. She knows, in that moment, that the cost of saving him will be higher than she ever imagined. But she won't let him die. That's the promise she makes, right there in the flickering lantern light of Laurel's cabin, with the redwood winds howling outside like a prophecy. No matter what the truth of her heritage is, no matter how cursed her blood might be, she'll pay the price. Even if it means losing everything else she's ever cared about. And as she sits there, tears sliding silently down her face, Kieran's pulse fluttering beneath her fingertips, the full weight of that vow hits her like a thunderclap. She doesn't know it yet, but by dawn, she'll have to make a choice so brutal it could break them both. And that choice begins to loom in her heart like a shadow, whispering the same question over and over. How far will you go for love, Ashera? Have you ever felt the heart-stopping certainty that if you fail now, you lose everything, not just your life, but the one soul who holds your entire future in their hands? That's the raw edge Aria stands upon, blood humming with the promise of fate or ruin, as she closes her eyes in the redwood clearing and remembers the moment she died and rose again. Because that's how it felt, severing the last thread tying her to fear, unleashing the power that pulses in her veins, and stepping into a destiny she never asked for. She's not the same girl who once cowered under council laws and manipulations. She's something more. Laurel said it would be painful. That aligning Aria's awakened powers with Kieran's battered wolf might rip them both to shreds. Laurel said a lot of things. But in the end, Aria decided that pain was a small price to pay to see Kieran's eyes open again, to feel the bond flare hot and alive where it had been strangled. So she stands, barefoot in the wet grass, droplets of rain silvering her hair. The moon rides high above, full and glowing, filtered through a sky that roils with silent thunder. Everything feels sharp, her senses, her heartbeat, the brush of the wind. She can hear the forest breathe. She can feel the earth under her soles. She can taste the power humming in her blood. And she thinks, I'm not just a nobody. I am the child of a broken bloodline, the so-called traitor's daughter, and I will be no one's pawn. Behind her, the cabin glows with lantern light. She can still picture Kieran, pale and trembling on the bed, his breath rattling as Laurel and Maya pressed herbal poultices to that savage bite. She can still taste her own tears as she leaned in, whispering half-lucid promises in his ear. Don't give up. I'm coming back for you. Then she stepped outside, fists clenched, determined to figure out how to reignite the bond. Time is slippery here in redwood territory, where old magic lingers in the soil and the trees. Aria listens to the hush of the pines, to the echo of ancestral voices that speak in the hush of the wind. She's done rummaging through half-answers and dusty tomes. She needs something direct, something tangible. And if she has to tear open her own soul to do it, so be it. A gust sweeps through the clearing, rattling the leaves overhead. She feels a presence, something ancient, pressing at the edges of her consciousness. She's felt it before, in nightmares, in visions. The name resonates, Ashera. She's no longer afraid of it. She closes her eyes, letting the night seep into her lungs, letting that presence slip into her mind. Darkness closes in. A swirl of images flickers behind her eyelids, an ancient wolf with white fur streaked in red, a crest shaped like a crescent moon with jagged lines. She senses a voice whispering a single word, awaken. There's a rush of wind, like wings unfolding. Her knees buckle. She gasps, pressing a hand to her chest as something shifts inside her. It's like unlocking a door she never knew was there. In a single heartbeat, the world lights up. She sees the glow of living energy in every branch, every blade of grass. Her bond with Kieran, flares into sudden clarity. She sees it as a luminous thread winding away from her, leading back to the cabin. She can feel his heartbeat, faint and flickering but present. And she feels the poison choking him, strangling the wolf spirit inside him. A cry rips from her throat, half agony, half exaltation. She runs then, feet slapping wet grass, following that thread of silver light across the yard and bursting into the cabin. Maya jolts upright in alarm. Laurel lowers her mortar and pestle, startled by the wildness in Aria's eyes. But Aria doesn't pause. She drops to her knees at Kieran's side, placing a trembling hand on his chest. She can see it, the vile corruption lodged near his heart, a twisting blackness that dampens the mate bond. She's never done anything like this, but now, it's as though she just knows. Laurel starts to speak, but Aria holds up a hand. Please, she breathes. Just trust me. She closes her eyes, letting the swirl of magic and adrenaline guide her. There's a pulse in her palms, warm and insistent. She thinks of Kieran's smile, the way he'd say her name as if it were precious, the fierce protectiveness in his eyes that always made her feel safe. And she thinks, I will not let him die. Something surges through her arms. She channels it forward, feels it pouring into him, seeking the darkness. It's painful, scalding. She gives a strangled cry as her back arches. Kieran groans, eyes fluttering. For a second, the bond crackles with bright energy, and she can taste the bitterness of that poison as it fights back. But she's stronger now. The presence from the clearing guides her hand, fueling her with an ancient power that saturates her bones. She feels the darkness break. Kieran lurches on the bed, gasping for air. She doubles over, head spinning. The world snaps back into normal focus. For a heart-stopping moment, she thinks she's failed. Then he coughs, breathing in a sharp lungful of air, and his eyes flick open, dark gray eyes, ringed with silver. Alive. She chokes on a sob, tears trailing down her cheeks as she gently cradles his face. His gaze locks onto hers with an intensity that flays her heart. Aria, he rasps, voice raw. I thought. She presses her forehead to his, tears burning. I'm here, she whispers, so overcome with relief she can barely speak. I found a way. He tries to rise, but she hushes him, turning to look at Laurel. The older woman stands transfixed, a mixture of awe and terror on her face. Maya's eyes gleam with tears she won't shed. That was impossible, Laurel breathes. You just purged whatever corruption was strangling him. That kind of healing is, her voice falters. I've never seen anything like it. Aria's legs shake as she pushes off the edge of the bed, letting Kieran rest on the pillows. She wipes at her tear-streaked cheeks. She still feels that presence in her blood, a quiet hum that retreats into the background now that the crisis has passed. She wants to collapse into 1,000 pieces of exhaustion, but the surge of adrenaline holds her upright. Kieran's life was saved, but they can't hide away forever. Celine and the council won't stop. Not after everything that's happened. Kieran tries to sit up, wincing. How long was I out? Where? Redwood territory? His gaze darts around, landing on the dimly lit cabin, the thick wooden beams overhead. Maya steps forward, relief etched across her features. We crossed the border to save you. And nearly started a new feud in the process. But Redwood's Alpha gave us safe passage, as long as we don't involve them in the Council's war. Kieran scrubs a hand over his face, still shaky, but the color in his cheeks is returning. He looks at Aria with so much gratitude and love that she nearly forgets how to breathe. I felt you, he says hoarsely. In my mind, or my soul, or whatever. You fought the poison. She tries to smile, but it trembles. I couldn't lose you, she murmurs. So I didn't. For a moment, they just hold each other's gazes, the bond that once flickered now blazing bright again. She can feel it pulsing in her veins, a comforting warmth she never wants to let go. That's when Laurel clears her throat, stepping closer. As miraculous as this is, she says, the council will come. If Redwood's Alpha can't or won't shield you, you need to decide your next move. Kieran eases upright, wincing slightly, but the Alpha steel is returning to his spine. We can't keep running, he states, voice solid. Celine's lies have escalated into full-blown warfare. She's manipulated the council into believing Aria's lineage is a threat, and she's forging alliances with other packs. If we don't act, she'll destroy everything. Aria nods, heart pounding. Then we take the fight to her. She glances at Maya. No more sneaking around, waiting to be attacked. We confront the council openly, we show them who truly stands behind the chaos. And we prove that this bond, this union, it isn't a curse. It's the only way forward. Maya looks skeptical. They nearly killed both of you the last time you tried to present your case. Aria feels that quiet power stirring again, a boldness she never possessed. We won't be kneeling at their feet this time, she says. If they think I'm some monstrous threat, so be it. Let's show them what that really means. Then maybe they'll understand it's better to stand with us than against us. She expects Kieran to caution her, to say it's too dangerous. But he merely grips her hand, a fierce pride burning behind his eyes. I stand with you, he murmurs. No matter what. That single vow holds them both upright. Laurel looks at them, nodding slowly. Then we gather allies. Word will spread quickly that Kieran lives, that Aria saved him in some miraculous fashion. Some packs might side with Celine, but others will want to hear your truth. Maya taps her phone, scanning messages. We have supporters, not many, but enough to hold a council hearing if we push for it. But if we go into that hall again, we'd better be prepared for an assassination attempt. Aria steels herself, recalling the savage fight that left Kieran gasping for life in her arms. She hopes never to see him bleeding like that again. Then we'll be ready, she says, though her heart twists. Kieran tries to stand. Aria helps him up, ignoring the swirl of dizziness that hits her. She's drained from the healing, but a potent determination guides her steps. Then let's not waste time, he says. We rally what allies we have, Laurel, Redwood, any who'll listen. And then we call Celine's bluff in front of everyone. Maya arches a brow. How do you propose we do that? The council only meets at Silverfong Hall, and they've basically exiled you. A wry grin tugs Kieran's lips. Then we'll have to break in, he says. But not in secret. We'll march in broad daylight with every wolf who still believes in us. Aria's heart thumps. She pictures a standoff, them stepping into the seat of power, commanding the entire supernatural society to bow or face the truth. It's insane, but if they want to prevent a full-scale pack war, they need a dramatic move. She thinks of the swirling energy she felt in Redwood's clearing, the sense of destiny burning in her blood. For once, she embraces it. That night, they rest, what little they can. Kieran recovers more swiftly now that the bond is fully restored, color returning to his face, the savage wound sealing to a scar. Aria dozes fitfully at his side, haunted by shifting dreams of moonlit forests. But each time she bolts awake, she finds Kieran's hand in hers, his breath even and alive, and that quiet comfort is enough to lull her back to uneasy sleep. By dawn, Maya has rustled up a small caravan of vehicles. Wolf scouts from Redwood accompany them, ensuring no ambush on the roads. Aria stands outside the cabin, a borrowed cloak draped over her shoulders, staring at the ghostly light that creeps through the pines. Kieran joins her, slipping an arm around her waist. She leans into him, heartbeat steadying. Ready? He asks. She glances up, meeting his gaze. Once, she thought she was nobody, an orphaned waitress with no pack, no power. Now, she sees the reflection of an ancient lineage in her own eyes, the flicker of something fierce. As I'll ever be, she whispers. They set off. The journey is tense. No one knows if Celine's forces will ambush them on the highways. But by some miracle or cunning plan, they reach the outskirts of Silverfong territory unchallenged. The city's skyline looms, the roads leading to that colossal, fortress-like hall Aria once dreaded. She can almost hear the memory of the council's snarls, recall the glint of torches on polished floors. Except this time, she's not trembling in fear. She's trembling in anticipation. Word travels fast among the packs. By the time they arrive at the gates of Silverfong Hall, a crowd has gathered, some loyal to Kieran, some curious, some outright hostile. She sees faces twisted in anger, smells the tension crackling in the air like an electric storm. But she also sees flickers of hope, wolves who remember the old Kieran, who believed he was the future of their society. Maya steps forward, speaking in a low murmur to the guards at the gate. They look uncertain, glancing at each other, at the throng of watchers. One sprints inside to alert the elders. Aria grips Kieran's hand. He squeezes back. If we stand down, we lose, he mutters. No matter what they threaten, we can't bend. She nods, swallowing hard. A hush ripples through the crowd. Then the doors swing open. The same elder with the braided beard steps out, flanked by armed enforcers. He stares at Kieran, surprise flickering across his face. You dare return? He says, voice booming. After you were exiled, after your human mate unleashed chaos in our hall? Aria stiffens. Kieran stands tall, his wolf presence rolling off him in waves. I was never exiled in a fair hearing, he says, voice ringing across the courtyard. Selene manipulated the council. She orchestrated an attack, pinned it on us. You never saw the truth. A murmur spreads. Wolves shift, exchanging uncertain glances. The elder narrows his eyes. And what truth do you propose? Kieran's gaze flicks to Aria. She steps forward, letting that ancient power hum beneath her skin. She's not certain how to harness it in a controlled manner, but she can feel it responding to her will, ready to show them she's not some cursed abomination. She lifts her chin, voice steady despite the swirl of adrenaline. Selene has lied to you, she says, loud enough for all to hear. She forged documents, demonized my lineage, and allied with a rival pack to stage an ambush. Ask yourselves, who truly benefits from the chaos that's tearing our society apart? A ripple of unease travels through the crowd. The elder glances at the guards, uncertain. Then another voice cuts through the tension, she's right. A lone wolf steps forward from the throng. Aria recognizes him vaguely as a lesser alpha of a small territory. I saw Selene's enforcers meeting with the Nightblade Alpha. They spoke of dethroning Kieran, setting up a new regime. That's not the Council's mission, is it? More voices rise, some in confusion, some in anger. The elder's face pales. Kieran seizes the moment, stepping onto the stone steps. We demand an audience with the full council. No closed doors. Let every pack witness what happens next. Let's see who stands by truth, and who's been seduced by Selene's schemes. The elder hesitates. He can feel the energy shifting, the crowd ready to riot if he denies them. Finally, he inclines his head. Very well, he says, voice tight. But if you dare incite violence inside these walls again, we'll have no choice but to. Kieran meets his gaze unflinchingly. We won't be the ones starting a fight. Within minutes, the crowd surges forward into Silverfong Hall, a tide of bodies pushing through corridors that once shimmered with stifling elegance. Wolves snarl, snapping at each other, tension so thick it coats the air. Aria keeps close to Kieran, flanked by Maya and Laurel. She half expects an ambush around every corner, but they pass unchallenged. The final corridor opens into that grand central chamber, torches flickering, the dais looming like a stage for judgment. A cluster of elders stands at the dais, robes swirling around their ankles. And at the forefront, face twisted in cold composure, is Selene Vale. She wears a regal gown the color of starlight, her silver hair pinned with jeweled combs. She looks like a queen awaiting her coronation. Her gaze snaps to Aria, and hatred surges in her eyes. A hush falls over the hall, broken only by ragged breaths. Selene lifts her chin. This intrusion is illegal, she declares. You have no claim here, Kieran. The council exiled you. And that creature by your side is the reason. Aria's anger flares. She can practically taste the magic stirring in her blood. Calm, she tells herself. Don't lose control. Kieran steps forward, voice resonating. Check your illusions, Selene. There was no fair hearing. You staged an attack. You orchestrated forgeries. You tried to kill me and blame it on Aria's lineage. He gestures to the throng of onlookers. We have testimonies from pack members who saw your enforcers meeting with Nightblade. We have records from Redwood that show how you launched hunts outside council jurisdiction. You're the threat here, not Aria. Celine's face contorts, momentarily caught off guard. But her composure returns in a heartbeat, lips curving in a venomous smile. Desperate lies, she says. You think raising an army of traitors can overshadow your human's dark magic? She nearly destroyed us all in this very chamber. Aria steps up, letting the air around her pulse with quiet power. I unleashed my power because you nearly killed Kieran, she says, voice trembling with suppressed emotion. I didn't choose to be born with these abilities. But I will choose how to use them. And I won't let you twist it into a weapon for your own ends. Celine's eyes narrow. You think you're strong enough to defy me? I've shaped this council for years. I've forged alliances with every major power. A rumble ripples through the crowd, some in agreement, others in alarm. Kieran's wolf aura flares, warning them all that he stands with Aria. Elders glance uneasily at each other. The braided beard elder tries to maintain order, banging his staff. We must. He's cut off by a sudden explosion of movement. A half-dozen enforcers lunge from the shadows, crossbows and silver daggers raised. Celine's last-ditch attempt at sabotage. They aim for Aria and Kieran, faces twisted in savage determination. The hall erupts in panic, wolves shifting, people screaming. Aria's instincts kick in. She lifts a hand, feeling that burning energy swirl from her core. A barrier of shimmering violet arcs in front of her, the bolts from crossbows clattering harmlessly to the floor. The enforcers snarl, switching to melee weapons. The barrier flickers, not as strong as she'd like, but enough to give Kieran room to strike. He shifts mid-lunge, fur erupting across muscled arms, claws glinting. The enemies meet him in a flurry of steel and fangs. He roars, slashing a dagger from one enforcer's hand, sending them crashing into a marble pillar. Another tries to flank him, only to get tackled by Maya, who's half-shifted with her own claws bared. The crowd surges away, giving space to the savage brawl. Celine stands to the side, eyes frantic. She calls for more reinforcements, but the hall is chaos. Some wolves side with her, some remain neutral, and others leap to protect Kieran or shield Aria. She can't keep track of it all. It's anarchy. Aria feels a spear of fear as she spots an enforcer raising a crossbow toward Kieran's back. Without hesitation, she channels her power again, sending a wave of force that knocks the attacker sideways. Her arms tremble with the effort. She feels dangerously close to losing control, the magic sizzling in her veins. Another enforcer charges at her, blade raised, but Laurel leaps in, brandishing a staff. The clang of steel resonates. Aria turns, searching for Kieran. She finds him crouched over a fallen foe, chest heaving, silver eyes blazing with alpha fury. Blood mats his hair, but it's not his. He glances at her, a silent check. Are you okay? She nods, heart hammering. One last enforcer aims a pistol loaded with silver bullets. Aria can sense the metallic tang of that wretched metal. He fires. The bullet tears through the air straight at Kieran. A cry chokes in Aria's throat. She thrusts her hand out, sparks of violet dancing at her fingertips. Time seems to slow as she channels that power, forming a shimmering shield. The bullet slams into it and ricochets, embedding itself in the marble floor with a ping. Kieran doesn't waste the opening. He lunges, disarming the man with a single powerful swipe, sending the pistol clattering away. Then he shifts back, panting, eyes flicking around for more threats. The hall falls silent, swirling with dust and the groans of the injured. The 6 enforcers lie scattered, unconscious or bound. Wolves gape at Aria's barrier, at Kieran's prowess, at the raw show of power that justified an assassination attempt in the council's own seat. From the dais, Celine stares at them with abject fury. Her face contorts, and she stumbles backward, nearly tripping over the dais steps. "No," she hisses, voice cracking. "I won't let you. I won't lose everything." A final, desperate flash of movement. She yanks a hidden blade from her gown, lunges for Aria. Kieran tries to intercept, but Celine's faster than he expects. She leaps onto the dais, blade gleaming in torchlight. Aria sucks in a breath, summoning her power one last time. But before she can hurl Celine away, Celine's foot catches on a fallen candelabra. Her balance tips, and the blade arcs wide. She screeches, tumbling across the dais, gown ripping. When she rises, the torches cast dancing shadows that reveal something in her hand, a forged seal from one of the council's highest offices. Documents fall from her torn sleeve, incriminating evidence scattering across the marble. The entire hall falls silent, eyes glued to the messy swirl of parchments that detail her conspiracies, payoffs to the Nightblade Alpha, forged statements about Aria's father, instructions to capture and kill Kieran. Celine stands there, trembling, face pale as a corpse. "It's over." The braided-beard elder steps forward, stoops to pick up the scattered documents. His jaw sets. "Celine Vale," he intones, voice trembling with rage, "you conspired to topple our society, endanger innocence, and manipulate the council. You are hereby stripped of all titles and power. Guards, take her into custody." She screeches, thrashing, but the guards close in. No one stands to defend her. Not anymore. The spectators watch in grim fascination as she's dragged away, final curses echoing off the chamber walls. Aria sags in relief, feeling tears prick her eyes. She can hardly believe it's done. Her heart thuds as she looks at Kieran, who stands among the wreckage, shoulders slack with exhaustion. He lifts his head, expression raw. A hush resonates in the chamber, broken by scattered murmurs. Then one by one, werewolves step aside, clearing a path for Kieran and Aria to approach the dais. The elders gather, exchanging uneasy looks. The braided-beard elder meets Aria's gaze, guilt etched into his features. "We owe you an apology," he begins haltingly. "You were right. Celine twisted our loss to her advantage. We allowed ourselves to be blinded by tradition, and by fear." Kieran's hand finds Aria's. Her strength bolsters him as he addresses the elders. "The old ways must change," he says, voice resonating with quiet authority. "No more arranged bonds, no more forced hierarchies or deception. We can't let fear of a cursed bloodline or old superstitions tear us apart." A murmur of agreement sweeps the hall. One elder kneels, pressing a hand over his heart. Another follows. Soon, more join, some bowing to Kieran, others to Aria. It's the kind of acceptance she once dreamed about, only it's not about her being nobody. It's about them recognizing something deeper, a shift in the entire supernatural order. Aria, trembling, stares at the dais steps. She was never meant to stand on such a grand stage. Yet here she is, with a power that demanded no less than war to reveal itself, and with a mate who sacrificed everything to see her safe. The elders watch, waiting for her to speak, perhaps to claim the authority she's proven herself to hold. Her mouth goes dry. She's uncertain how to proceed, until Kieran touches her elbow, a subtle show of solidarity. She takes a deep breath. "We only ask for a society built on truth and cooperation," she says, voice quivering at the edges. "No more prejudice against humans or lesser-ranked wolves. No more tyranny in the name of tradition. If any wish to remain in the old ways, you do so without forcing others to bow to your rules." The braided beard elder's gaze flicks around, reading the crowd. "Agreed," he says, though his voice quavers with the realization that everything has changed. All those who side with this new path stand behind Kieran and Aria. All who oppose. He doesn't finish. No one steps forward to oppose. A rousing cheer breaks the hush, wolves howling in unity. Relief rushes through Aria like a cleansing tide. She grasps Kieran's hand, clinging to him in the swirl of celebratory chaos. She can't believe it's real. The same hall that once sought her destruction is bowing to the possibility of a new era. But as the clamor ebbs, that seed of doubt returns. Do I deserve this? Am I truly worthy of Kieran's love, of leading these wolves who once despised me? She tries to shake the thought away, focusing on the moment. The elders approach, still reeling. One hesitantly offers Kieran an ornate scepter, a symbol of alpha authority in the old order, but Kieran waves it off. "You misunderstand," he says quietly. "We're not here to take power for ourselves. We're here to share it. This is about all of us deciding our future." He turns to Aria, eyes brimming with something immeasurable. "And I stand as your equal. No lesser, no greater." A hush. Aria feels her heart constrict. She looks at him, sees the humility in his gaze, the unwavering devotion. She sees the acceptance from the crowd, the bruised but hopeful expression of the elders, the sense that an entire world just pivoted on its axis. Yet there's one final test for her, the one that's always haunted her, believing she's worthy of the love, the trust, the crown they're offering. She exhales, voice trembling. "I'm not a queen," she admits, tears threatening. "I'm just Aria. I was a nobody, a human with no lineage. But if you want me to help lead this new era," she forces the words past a lump in her throat, "I'll do everything I can, with everything I am. For all of us." The crowd stirs, a chorus of murmured assent. The elders exchange solemn nods. In the midst of the swirling tension, a battered guard steps forward, cradling something wrapped in crimson silk. He kneels before Aria, offering it up with trembling hands. When she unwraps the cloth, she finds an intricate crown hammered from gleaming silver, studded with black onyx. It's probably older than any living wolf, a relic once reserved for the highest seat of power. She stares at it, breath caught in her chest. She can't possibly accept this. She glances at Kieran, who gently takes the crown from her, turning it over in his hands as though weighing centuries of tradition. He faces her, voice hushed so only she can hear. "If you want to step away from all this," he says, "I'll walk with you. If you want to take up this mantle, I'll stand beside you. Whatever you choose, Aria, you're not alone." Her throat tightens. She thinks of the storms they've weathered, the heartbreak and bloodshed, the nights she wept in fear, the moment she unleashed a power that nearly consumed her. She thinks of the wolves who deserve a chance to live without oppression, who need a leader who understands what it's like to be on the outside. And she thinks of Kieran, who chose her against all odds. So she nods, tears shimmering. We do this. Together. He smiles, something luminous and tender in his expression. The crowd hushes, watching the two of them with bated breath. Kieran gently places the crown in her hands. She inhales a ragged breath, cheeks wet with tears, every nerve alive with awe and terror and fierce determination. Slowly, she lifts it, feeling the cold metal against her palms. The hall is silent enough to hear her heartbeat. She goes to place the crown on her head, only to pause, swallowing a wave of self-doubt. Kieran steps behind her, hands brushing hers, guiding her. It's a quiet, intimate gesture, a moment that belongs to them even in front of an entire assembly. Together, they settle the crown onto her brow. A ripple of energy courses through her, or maybe it's just the bond thrumming in shared triumph. The hall erupts in a tumult of howls and cheers. The elders bow, some dropping to their knees. The watchers, once so hostile, chant her name and Kieran's, celebrating a new chapter, a new order. Aria stands there trembling, crowned in silver, tears streaming as the realization sinks in, I'm not nobody anymore. She's rewriting the rules, forging a future born of love and equality. Kieran slips an arm around her waist, pulling her close so he can speak into her ear. You did it, he murmurs. We did it. No more hiding, no more chains. She turns to face him, words failing as she meets the adoration in his eyes. A hush descends again, like the entire world is waiting for them to seal this moment. She cups his face, ignoring the onlookers, letting her tears fall freely. I love you, she whispers. And I'm not afraid anymore. His gaze warms, that trademark smirk curving his lips. I love you too, he says softly. I've always loved you, Aria. He leans in, pressing a gentle, reverent kiss to her mouth. She melts into it, crown and all, letting the noise of the crowd wash over them like a tidal wave. It's a kiss that signifies survival, unity, the promise of tomorrow. They break apart only when the cheers grow so loud it rattles the torchlit walls. In the aftermath, the elders approach, discussing how to dismantle the old laws, how to spread the word that no one's birth determines their worth. Celine's forces have either fled or surrendered. Maya exchanges a wry grin with Aria, relief evident in her eyes. Laurel wipes away her own tears, murmuring that Redwood will stand by them if they remain just. The battered hall hums with conversation of rebuilding, rethinking, rewriting everything. Exhaustion catches up with Aria, but she forces herself to remain upright. The crowd begins to disperse, some staying behind to help clear the debris from the skirmish. Others rush out, eager to share the news. The cursed human and the outcast alpha have toppled centuries of oppression. It sounds like a fairy tale, one that might be retold for generations. Eventually, the torches burn low, leaving the hall in a soft glow. Aria stands near the dais, gazing at the silver crown that weighs heavier than she ever imagined. Kieran joins her, threading his fingers through hers. It's overwhelming, he murmurs. We're trying to build a new world. We'll stumble. We'll face more threats. But you and I, will face them together. She nods, leaning her head on his shoulder. So many changes, she says. But I'm ready. Outside, the night sky stretches, dotted with stars. The moon hangs low, a silent witness to everything they've endured. Something tugs at Aria's heart. She knows it's time to step beyond these walls, to show the city that their new order isn't just talk. She quietly turns toward the main doors, Kieran by her side, stepping into the courtyard where a few stragglers remain. The city skyline gleams in the distance, gilded by moonlight. Strangely, it feels like a new city, a new realm, full of possibility. She exhales, fatigue warring with euphoria. Kieran wraps an arm around her waist, drawing her against him, his breath warm on her ear. She glances at the crown in her hands, its silver reflecting the faint glow of street lamps. Her chest tightens with emotion. For so long, she believed she was worthless, overshadowed by fear and other people's demands. Now, she holds a symbol of leadership, a promise of a better path for humans and wolves alike. She swallows hard, tears gathering in her eyes. Kieran's voice is hushed, barely above a whisper. Beneath the moonlit skyline, wrapped in each other's arms, Kieran places a crown in Aria's hands. You were never nobody to me.